Simon, I'm going to move on to you. You mentioned earlier that you want to change the culture of the police departments. Derek Chauvin was a police officer who had worked for the Minneapolis Police Department for many years. He was responsible for killing other people other than just George Floyd. He had also shot people and assaulted many others. Derek Chauvin clearly is not in a vacuum, and there are many other cops out there that are like him. Do you honestly believe that you can change the culture of police departments in Hennepin County? And if so, how?
That's one of the most fundamental questions I think we all have to answer, because it has to be a culture change and not just an individual policy change. I'm so honored to have the endorsement of George Floyd's family, and I think it changes because we get the policy right, but it also changes because we relocate empathy in places that it's never been in our criminal justice system and our public safety system. We had a dialogue with a retired police officer that's also a lay minister, and when we began to talk about police violence, he had a full body, I would call it a triggered response. His face contorted, he began to shout, he threatened to leave the room, because I was talking about my friend who was a victim of abduction and assault by the Minneapolis Police Department. And what he was upset about was not that a young child was assaulted by the government and abducted by the government. What he was upset about is that we used the word police violence. And he came up, to his credit, he threatened to leave the conversation. He did not leave the conversation. He said, I will leave, and I told him, I hope you won't. And we had the conversation. He came up afterwards, and I told him, I said, you're not talking to me as a minister right now, you're talking to me actually as a police officer. And he came up afterwards, he said, you're right, I became a cop in that moment. And then he said something else. He said, what you said happened to your friend sounds like something that would have happened when I was on the force. But here's the problem. His empathy, even though he knew that those stories had the ring of truth, his empathy was for the idea of law enforcement over the trauma that happened to that child. And so every day you can count on me not to let it go. There's no tough conversation that I won't continue to have. You can count on me to get the policy right, but it has to be more than the policy.
Thank you, Simon.
Thank you.